All right, very good. Okay, so with 12 years in practice, like I said, I kind of just see this common thread. I see a lot of patients that have, whether it's anxiety, depression, skin issues, eczema, allergies, rosacea, different things like obviously gut issues, constipation, diarrhea, acid reflux, and then it could also be things like autoimmune diseases, thyroid problems, Hashimoto's. A lot of these issues do kind of stem back to the gut. Hippocrates, one of his sayings was, he said, all disease starts in the gut. And so I know that if you really implement what I share with you guys tonight, not just learn it, but actually take some action on it and make some of these changes, it has the potential to not only like change your health, but really just change how you feel and just really kind of your whole life. And that's what I want to like provide for you guys, is how to feel amazing, how to have the best health possible. And because I just feel like life is too short to feel like crap, right? Life is too short to be tired and to be miserable and to have your body hurt and have all this like pain. Like we got to get our bodies feeling better so we can have our best life possible. So just kind of things about the gut. Almost twice as many women suffer from digestive issues on a weekly basis compared to men. So I see a lot of men here tonight, but I also see like a lot of women. So, and then 62% of people talk about having digestive complaints of our population at least once a year. 95% of serotonin, which is a major mood influencing hormone, is produced in your small intestines. So that's why things like anxiety, depression, fatigue, that can be related to gut problems. And then 70% of your immune system is located in your gut. So we all want to learn how to build up a stronger immune system to both, fend off cancer, to help fight off viruses, colds, flus. And so this, what you're going to learn tonight is going to be amazing for also strengthening up your immune system. But I want to just caution you that duct tape is not the long-term fix. Raise your hand if you use duct tape to fix things. Yeah, and it may work temporarily, but in your heart, like, that's not the best solution, like long term. Well, that's where it's like when it comes to medications, when it comes to drugs, is their duct tape, And so just for instance, like acid reflux meds, if you have heartburn, there's a problem. If you have reflux, there's a problem, but you got to get to the underlying cause and get healthy from within, because that's where health comes from. It comes from getting your body healthy from the inside out. It doesn't come from just masking symptoms with drugs and kind of covering it up and duct taping it. But this was a study that was done on PPIs, protein pump inhibitors, which are the meds that people get put on when they have reflux. And they found that they've been linked to increase your risk of chronic kidney disease and dementia. With about 15 million Americans take these protein pump inhibitors. And this big attention was caused in the study because they found that they've been linked to causing magnesium deficiency. And when you're deficient in magnesium, it causes a whole host of health issues, but also it increases your risk of pneumonia and weaken bones by taking these medications. And you're really never meant to be on them for more than 4 to 6 weeks. Yet when I look through patients' files, I see so many people on omeprazole and Nexium, and they've been on them for years and years and years. And a study done from Johns Hopkins School of Medicine, they found a connection between these protein pump inhibitors and chronic kidney disease. And I just think so many people are on these medications, and yet we see so many people having kidney issues. We see all these dialysis centers, like it's just kidney problems are just skyrocketing. And we know that low magnesium levels are linked to chronic kidney disease, as well as, but not just linked to it, like it's crazy. When they revealed that these protein pump inhibitors could increase the risk of kidney disease by 20 to 50%. That is a huge number with that. And so if you're on these medications, you don't want to be happy just taking them. You really got to work on healing the gut and getting off of these things, because the longer you take a medication, the longer you leave the duct tape on there, the more your body's going to fall apart, and then you're going to have bigger problems down the road with that. So talking about the human digestive system, talking about the gut, the digestive system is composed of 3 solid organs: your liver, your pancreas, your gallbladder. All those function in your digestive system. And then it's made up of hollow organs like your mouth, your esophagus, your stomach, your small and large intestines, and then your anus. But then there is also a forgotten organ of your immune system, and that is called your microbiome. And what that is it's made up of bacteria, fungus, viruses, and then your gut flora, and it's called the forgotten organ. And when you look at that picture, it's kind of crazy when you look at the amount of different species of these virus, these bacteria, these different type of fungus. In our stomach, there's over 25 different species of these different microbes. In your small intestine, there are between 500 to 1,000 different species. In your mouth, your pharynx, and your respiratory system, over 600. On your skin, there's over 1,000. And so when we look at this, it's like you have to understand about this microbiome and how to really balance these healthy bacteria in your body. And when we live in a society that's like uber concerned about killing all the virus and all the bacteria and over sanitizing, that should be something that we should shy away from, because our body, these bacterial cells in our body outnumber human cells in our body by 10 to 1. That really we have more bacterial cells, more microbes in our body than what we do human cells, which is pretty crazy. And the bacteria, they are between 10 and 50 times smaller than human cells. And then they outnumber human cells by 10 to 1. If you extended out the surface of your GI tract, it would take up 3 tennis courts. That's how much of this gut lining, gut tract that we have in our body. And then if you laid all the bacteria in your body end to end, it would circle the earth 2.5 times. And so you don't want to be worrying about killing all these bacteria. The fact is balance is key. And when we live in this over sanitized world right now, it tends to kill off the good bacteria and it leaves the bad bacteria unchecked. And then they tend to kind of really grow like wildfire and then cause a lot of these health problems. So we'll be talking about how to balance your microbiome, how to make sure you got the good bacteria, how to kill off some of the bad overgrowth, what's called dysbiosis, like too much bad bacteria in your body. One interesting thing I think about the gut, I think this is pretty amazing, is that obviously we have our brain that runs our body, our brain and our nervous system, but the gut is referred to as your second brain in your body. That's why it's like, it makes sense. It's like, go with your gut, right? Go with your gut instincts. In your gut, there are over 50 million neurons. 40 neurotransmitters have been identified in the gut. And this is pretty crazy. I didn't know this till a few years ago, but 50% of all your dopamine is made in your gut. And then 95% of all your serotonin is made in your gut, and it travels up your CNS to your brain. And so that's where it's like a lot of these issues when it comes to anxiety, depression, brain fog, how well you feel just in general is connected with the health of your gut. And so these are some signs that you could have gut problems, because maybe sitting here, you know that you have gut problems because you have reflux or constipation or bloating or all these things, but you could also have other problems that you may not realize are connected to gut. So one of those things are food sensitivities. If you notice that if you eat dairy or you eat wheat or maybe you eat nuts and then you really don't feel well, or your nose starts running or your joints hurt, that is a food sensitivity, and it's a sign that you have what they call some level of leaky gut or gut problems. Inflammatory bowel disease, that's going to be things like Crohn's, colitis, irritable bowel. Those are obviously gut problems. But autoimmune, Hashimoto's, rheumatoid arthritis, lupus, these autoimmune diseases are very much connected to gut and leaky gut problems. thyroid issues, including Hashimoto's, hypothyroid, and Graves' disease. Nutrient malabsorption. Your body, if you tend to like always not have the right levels of B vitamins or magnesium or whatever it is, then that can be a sign that your gut is just not absorbing nutrients the way that it should. And then inflammatory skin conditions. Anytime I have patients whether it's acne or psoriasis or eczema, and they're trying to put creams on their skin and fix it, it's like, no, it's the gut. Like, you got to get your gut healthy, and your skin reflects your gut health with that. And then mood issues and things like autism, ADHD, those are very much have a big connection with the health of the gut as well. So the problem is that a bad gut, ultimately it equals a weak immune system. And when you have a weak immune system, then you have a whole host of chronic health issues. And so what causes the bad gut? So most of us, due to our bad lifestyle for years and years prior to learning what it meant to be healthy, we've wreaked some havoc on our guts, right? Raise your hand that in your lifetime, have you ever taken an antibiotic? Yeah, almost all of us have, right? How many of you drink tap water that has chlorine or fluoride in it? That's damaging to the gut. How many of you eat sugar? Yeah, yeah. So we've all done things. And so, but these are some of the big problems that do cause gut issues. One is you can have a genetic predisposition. Certain people can be more predisposed to developing leaky gut and gut problems because they're more sensitive to environmental factors that trigger these different type of issues in their body. But also it can go way back to how you were born. The most important meal that a baby can have, it sounds kind of gross, but is when it goes through the birth canal and it's exposed to the mucus in the vagina. And that bacteria that's in that mucus goes in the baby's mouth, and then that starts to go into their digestive tract, and it establishes their microbiome and their gut flora. So babies that are born C-section, they miss out on this exposure to these bacteria that start to initially develop their immune system and their gut health. And that's huge. And then when babies are breastfed, that continues to kind of feed those good bacteria and continue to further develop this microbiome and this healthy immune system, this healthy digestive system. So a lot of people, they weren't born, vaginally, or they weren't breastfed. They were fed formula, which has a whole bunch of nasty stuff in it that can damage the gut from the get-go. So some of your gut issues may be back to starting when you were a child, and if you weren't exposed and to these good things that help to develop it the right way. Poor diet's a big one though too. So especially diets that are high in allergy and inflammatory foods like unsprouted grains. If you eat regular flour, wheat flour, regular breads, pasta, cereals, like those are unsprouted grains that tend to be very inflammatory. Sugar, GMOs, genetically modified organisms, which are found in most like cereals and crackers and cookies, any type of wheat or soy products or corn. Most of that today has been genetically modified, which is really bad for the gut health and the microbiome. If you use refined oils, synthetic food additives, which are added to the packaged foods, processed foods, fast foods, and then conventional dairy. Tends to have some issues with causing gut problems. If you're exposed to chronic stress, both in your life and work stress, that's going to take a toll on your gut health as well too. And then if you have just this toxic overload of whether high consumption of drugs, and I'm not typically talking about like illegal drugs, but these are going to be more prescription drugs, ibuprofen, Advil, Tylenol, NSAIDs, or alcohol consumption tends to stress the gut and the microbiome. And then we come in contact with over 80,000 chemicals and toxins every single year. We just live in a toxic world right now. And so, and then also chlorine and fluoride that are in most of the water that you drink, that's not well water, affects the gut too. And then dysbiosis, where if you've been ever had an antibiotic that's wiped out your good bacteria, or you're exposed to all the above, it tends to kill off the good and the bad kind of runs rampant. So then you get this imbalance of bacteria that causes a lot of gut issues. So ultimately, kind of what it looks like is you have your leaky gut progression, where all these things at the top irritate and agitate and cause disease and inflammation in the gut. And that can be the stress, the toxins, the inflammatory foods, drugs, pathogens, or different issues with different organs like your liver. If you're missing a gallbladder, that can affect your digestive tract on through. But then it causes that inflammation. And then the cells in the gut that should be tight together, there's this what's called an endothelial lining, and it lines the inner of your gut. And these cells are meant to be tight together to keep bacteria and food particles from exiting your gut and getting into your bloodstream. And then there's these little cells called tight junction modulators that determine what can pass through and what can't pass through. But a normal gut, the gut lining should be held tight together. That keeps everything that's in the gut, like in the digestive tract, and sealed in there, and keeps it from leaking out into the body. But with leaky gut is that all these things tend to take that gut lining and it starts to space those cells apart. And then as they space apart, things leak through into your bloodstream, and then your body reacts to it. And that's especially damaging because 70% of our immune system is in our gut. So when the gut's leaking, man, you're triggering right where most of your immune system is, and it's creating this autoimmune inflammatory reaction against these particles that never should really have been in your blood. They should have stayed in your gut. And so just to take a closer look at what that looks like, this picture really shows it. So those little white particles, those are gluten. And gluten is not just from wheat. There is gluten in rice. There's gluten in corn. There's gluten in most grains. And so that's one inflammatory thing that can affect your gut. So you can see when that little white gluten attaches onto those endothelial cells, it releases this protein called zonulin. And then what that does is it goes into that little receptor, and then that causes the gap between those cells. So then these food particles and everything start to leak out. So a big part into getting your gut healthy is you have to remove these things that are inflaming it and causing this reaction and causing the leaky gut. And then you got to heal that gut back up and get it sealed back up and get it actually functioning the way that it should. But does that make sense? Kind of how you see how that kind of works and how those cells spread apart, and then things start to get into the body that shouldn't be there, and then the body starts to develop chronic inflammation. So a lot of just chronic pain, joint pain, arthritis pain, just if your body just aches, that's probably a sign that you have some degree of leaky gut with that. So how do you repair it? Here's the basic healing steps to heal gut-related issues. So if you got to take notes on these 4 steps. Number 1 is you got to remove the foods and factors that damage the gut. Your gut will never get better as long as you keep eating the same crap. And then if you keep being exposed to the same toxic chemicals, you keep taking all your drugs, it's like your gut will never heal because you just constantly are irritating it. You're not really removing what's causing it to begin with. So you got to remove the foods and the factors, and we'll go into that a little bit more. Number 2 is you got to replace the healing foods. Replace these bad foods with healing foods and anti-inflammatory healthy gut diet. And we'll be kind of talking about what that looks like as well too. And then repair. You have to repair the damage that's been done. Sometimes just changing your diet alone won't heal that damage that's occurred in there. You got to heal the gut lining. You got to get that gut sealed back together. You got to reestablish the good bacteria. And sometimes you got to kind of kill off the bad bacterial overgrowth as well that's occurred. And then you got to rebalance your microbiome with probiotics, beneficial bacteria. And then this is kind of cool. It talks about how they help to promote the resistance to the colonization of harmful or pathogenic bacteria because they compete for nutrients. So when you have those good bacteria, it kind of keeps the bad bacteria in check from going rampant with that. So we're going to talk about how to really heal the gut with the 5 essentials. Chiropractic is huge in healing the gut. I can't tell you how many patients that just by getting adjusted, their gut actually starts to feel better, starts to work better. And why that's connected, the gut goes to the brain. The nervous system connects that. So when you open up those pathways by getting the spine in alignment and removing that restriction, the whole gut starts to function better. That's ultimately what runs your digestive tract, is your nervous system, and that flows through your spine. So adjustments are key into getting the gut functioning better and healing better too. The gut healthy diet, we're going to talk about what do you avoid. And these are the big things to avoid. Artificial sweeteners are one of the worst things for your gut health, which ultimately is one of the worst things for your immune system and a lot of other things in your body. So where you may get artificial sweeteners, I just saw a patient have this tonight, is in gum. So you may not realize it. If you chew gum, most gum is sweetened with like aspartame or an artificial sweetener. So that could be a source of where you're getting artificial sweeteners, and you may not even know it because it's in your chewing gum that you're putting in your mouth multiple times a day. Also, you get artificial sweeteners in like obviously Diet Pop, but yogurt has a lot of artificial sweeteners. If you buy sugar-free yogurts, they're going to have those artificial sweeteners in there as well too. So look for things like aspartame and avoid those artificial sweeteners. Sucralose is another one as well. Processed or high sugar foods, packaged foods, processed foods, conventional meat and dairy products. You want to transition away from conventional into organic. Alcohol, especially overconsumption of alcohol, affects the gut, and then genetically modified organisms as well too. So we want to remove especially the foods that destroy your microbiome. So these include, like we talked about, antibiotics, artificial sweeteners, sugar, non-organic produce, anything that's been sprayed with glyphosate, Roundup, is going to be really damaging to the gut. Many studies coming out on how that just destroys your microbiome and it destroys your gut health. So that's a big reason why I encourage you to try to buy your produce organic, or make sure wherever you're buying it from, they're not using pesticides and herbicides, because that affects your gut health. And then overly sanitized environments. If you've been using hand sanitizer all the time, then you've probably wreaked havoc on your gut. So I don't use the chemical hand sanitizers. I use like essential oil ones that don't have the nasty, chemicals that destroy the good bacteria in our bodies. And then perhaps where most people don't realize, that artificial sweeteners like Splenda as well, NutraSweet, affect the bacterial, unwanted bacterial overgrowth. And then they actually cause brain fog, increased risk of obesity, and more cravings as well too. Like I talked about, non-organic GMO foods have high levels of glyphosate. It's an extremely problematic pesticide with a long list of adverse reactions. And so you want to try to buy organic whenever possible to avoid the glyphosate exposure. And then your tap water, you want to really filter out your water. Fluoride, chloride, chlorine, aluminum that's found in drinking water tends to cause problems with your gut health as well too. So those are some of the worst things that you can do for your gut and that good microbiome. I feel like we always need a refresher on how bad sugar is for our body, because it always tends to suck us back into eating it, right? It's like, why can't we just get over it? Well, it's because it's as addictive as cocaine. Sugar is. So once you start eating it, you just crave more and more of it. So, but the impacts of sugar on your body are that it leads to weight gain. It affects your brain health. It gives you sleepless nights with that. So you eat sugar throughout the day, you're probably not going to sleep very well that night. It contributes to poor, obviously, health of your teeth, harms your heart, causes liver problems, and then causes anxiety, depression. It raises your risk of diabetes, aggravates body pain. It just is like fuel to the fire for joint pain and arthritis pain, and then weakens your immune system, raises your risk of cancer, and causes chronic inflammation. So maybe take a screenshot of that and just have it on your phone so you can remind yourself why you're not eating the sugar and keeping it there. So I just recommend replacing it. Replace sugar and artificial sweeteners with things like stevia, a plant-based sweetener that's going to sweeten up foods but not spike your blood sugar. Things like dates, or making date syrup, where you put dates in warm water in a blender and blend it up, and you got a date paste, and you can sweeten things with that. Monk fruit is a good plant-based sweetener as well. Raw honey, maple syrup, or things like coconut sugar are all much better options rather than white sugar or artificial sweeteners with that. So that's an easy switch. You just start making stuff with these better forms of, sweeteners, or just try to remove them altogether would be the best option. But then the next best is use those other alternatives. Remove problematic gut foods. These are grains like wheat, rice, oats, corn, and barley. These tend to always trigger inflammation in your gut lining, and then they can just kind of keep these gut issues getting worse and worse over time. So you want to replace these with grain-free options like almond, coconut flour, or cassava flour. So organic sprouted grains are a better option. Anytime you sprout a grain, you soak it, you sprout it, you take away some of that inflammatory reaction that it creates in the gut. And so buying like a sprouted bread, like Ezekiel bread, is a better option. Though I caution you, if you do have some of these problems I've talked about, whether it's autoimmune, gut issues, arthritis, then I encourage you to go completely away from grains for a period of time. And then einkorn wheat is a type of wheat that is ancient wheat that hasn't been genetically modified and changed. So it tends to be less reactive, but it's hard to find that. And most bread in the store is definitely not made with that. You have to make it your own pretty much. Or I like to go with these type of breads like that base culture. It's made with nuts and seeds. It doesn't have any grains in it. So I'll use that for sandwiches or, make a toast in the morning, and I'll just use those grain-free bread options that use almond flour, nuts, and seeds instead of wheat flour with that. But my boys use Ezekiel bread because they were, born naturally. They were breastfed. They haven't had any antibiotics. They haven't had any medications. Their guts are healthy and they can handle those things. But a lot of us, we've done so much damage, we got to get rid of any potential like inflammatory thing in our body. Avoid antibiotics, hormones, and steroids. You tend to get a lot of those in conventional dairy. So that's why conventional dairy is a problem, because a lot of it has trace amounts of antibiotics and hormones and steroids that tend to, kill off that good bacteria and affect the gut negatively. So easy switch is you replace these with organic, grass-fed dairy, milk, yogurt, cheese, any dairy product, buy it organic and preferably grass-fed. And then you're going to use coconut or almond dairy alternatives, not soy. So watch out for products that contain soy. So I love that brand, that Organic Valley, the grass milk, their yogurt, their cheese. I would steer clear of their flavored yogurts because they have added sugar. I just always get the plain yogurt if I'm doing, yogurts, or my kids like to, eat that yogurt as well too. Next thing with that is remove leaky gut foods. So these are some of the worst foods ever, and they are obviously packaged foods. Those are full of nothing but junk, and then your fast foods as well too. So really try to refrain from going to McDonald's, going to Wendy's, going to any fast food place. Like just get to the point where you don't even go to those places anymore, because all the good you've done, one of those meals will probably set you back months and months, with the damage that it does with eating that stuff. So replace these bad foods with things like organic fresh fruits and vegetables, organic grass-fed organic meats, and then raw nuts and seeds. So eat real foods instead of all this processed packaged crap that your body just, doesn't do well with. It causes a lot of problems with our bodies. And then add in your healing gut foods. So these are some really good things. I'd write these down too. These are some of the best things for healing your gut. One is bone broth. Bone broth contains collagens and amino acids like proline, glycine that help to heal your damaged gut lining. So a lot of us have damaged gut lining. I'm pretty much safe to assume it's probably all of us throughout our life. We've damaged our gut to some degree. So adding things in like bone broth are very good for healing the gut walls. Fermented foods. Things like sauerkraut, kimchi, kvass are excellent sources of good bacteria to help reestablish the good bacteria. And then they help to balance your intestinal pH as well too. Coconut products are very good for your gut health. So all coconut products contain medium chain fatty acids that are easier to digest than other fats, and they work well for a leaky gut. And then healthy fats like egg yolks, avocados, ghee, coconut oil are all very good gut promoting healthy fats. Omega-3s, very good. You get omega-3s from fish oils, flax seeds, chia seeds, hemp seeds, walnuts, but also grass-fed lamb, salmon. That's where you get your good omega-3s from. And then consuming 1 to 2 servings of fresh fruits a day is also very good for helping with healing the gut and getting the gut back on track too. So you don't have to remove everything. You can add in all these good things too. And then I recommend at minimum, if you are new to coming to a workshop or new to changing your nutrition and you still kind of eat what most other people around you are eating, you know, standard American diet, then I encourage you to at least start following the Max Living Core plan. That is outlined in the Align Your Health book that most of you guys got, or the Maximize Living Nutrition Plans book if you've been a patient a long time. But that's a diet mainly of healthy fats, full fat organic dairy, naturally raised organic animal products, your whole grains or ancient grains or sprouted grains like Ezekiel that are better for your body, and then a variety of fruits and vegetables and plant-based carbohydrates, like as many vegetables as you can eat with that. Or I recommend Advanced Plan. And so if you've been eating pretty good for a long time, then I recommend stepping it up to what we call Advanced Plan. And that is more of a healing diet. It's very good for your gut. It's very good for arthritis. It's very good for any really disease in the body. So, and that is the same as Core Plan, but it's no grains. You go completely grain-free, not just gluten-free, but you don't do corn, you don't do rice, you go grain-free altogether. And then you limit your fruit to low sugar fruits like berries, Granny Smith apples, the fruits that are high in nutrients but lower in sugar. You're not eating a bunch of like watermelons and like grapes and all that stuff. You're eating low sugar fruits as well. That really helps to heal the inflammation in the gut and the gut lining as well. So also you want to increase your fiber. Fiber contains a prebiotic, and fiber is a prebiotic, and that helps to feed the good bacteria. So when you eat diets high in fiber, it nourishes the good bacteria in your gut. It kind of helps feed that good microbiome in the body. So eat more raw fruits and vegetables. That's how you get more of this good prebiotic fiber for those good bacteria. These are the top 50 prebiotic foods. Pretty much it's all the vegetables, asparagus, artichokes, beets, broccoli, bell peppers, Brussels sprouts, all the things in there. Some of those things I've never heard of. Konjac root. Anybody ever heard of that? I've never heard of that. But then fruits, apples, avocados, bananas, cherries, kiwi, mangoes, olives, pears, plantains. And then there's some other sources like chia seeds, coconut flour, dark chocolate, flax seeds, ginger root, honey even has some prebiotic in it too. And then pumpkin seeds, quinoa, wild rice with that as well too. So adding in those high fiber foods is important in our diets. And then I recommend kind of also implementing what is called time restricted feeding or intermittent fasting. Is very good for healing the gut. What that means is you limit your eating window to a certain time throughout the day. And then that creates a fasting window the rest of the day. And I think the premise behind this makes perfect sense, because as long as your body and your gut has food in there, it's taking all of its energy and effort to digest the food, break it down, and turn it into like usable fuel for your body. It's busy, 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 busy. So if it's busy, 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 it can't have time to heal itself, right? It's because it's like on overload. And our bodies were not really meant to be eating all the time anyhow. We're meant for this kind of like fasting periods. So when you go for a period where you're not eating anything or you're just drinking water, I'll talk about how to do this, it gives your gut time to heal itself. Where all the energy that it would have spent digesting and breaking down food, it's now spending on healing itself and using all that energy to kind of heal from the inside. And so these have been things that have been shown to be really improved when you do the intermittent fasting. It takes stress off your digestive system. It reduces inflammation in the gut. It activates stem cells in your gut that help to heal the gut. It improves your microbiome diversity, and then it increases the healthy bacteria levels as well. So it really helps to kind of change that gut environment when you do intermittent fasting. So this is a gut cleanse. I gave it to you in all of your handouts. I'm going to encourage you guys to really kind of dig deep and try to do this gut cleanse. I think it would benefit all of you. It's going to not only help with gut issues, but it's going to help with joint pain. It's going to help with energy levels. It's going to help with weight loss. It's going to help with skin problems. It's just going to overall help you feel better. And there's nothing wrong with anybody doing this type of cleanse because it just helps with healing the body. So what this looks like is you could do it anywhere between 3 to 5 days. And so in that 3 to 5 days, you do a period of a fasting period. So that can be between 6 o'clock at night or 7 o'clock at night, like whenever you can finish your last meal, start your fast. Don't do snacking before you go to bed or, grab the ice cream before you go to bed. Like finish your last meal and then stop eating, after that last meal. And then you're going to fast all the way through the night as you're sleeping. That's not hard. And then you're going to skip breakfast. And then you're going to try to not eat until like 11 or 12 o'clock the next day. And that will put you through anywhere between a 12 to maybe, 14-hour fasting window where your body can, use its efforts to heal, and it gives your gut a break from digesting food. And so during the fasting period, you can do filtered water. You can add a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar to your water. In your handouts, I also gave you a handout about apple cider vinegar, all the amazing benefits of that. And it's very good for gut. And it's very good to drink it with water in the morning, and it helps to kind of heal the gut, stimulate good digestion. It has good bacteria in it. If you get the apple cider vinegar like Bragg's, that has the good bacteria in there. You can also do water with fresh squeezed lemon, and you can add a little bit of stevia if you need it to be a little bit sweeter as well. And then you can do herbal teas as well, or things like that ginger switchel that Emily made. Tasty things, but it's kind of all liquid, all kind of water-based. You're not eating any food in that fasting window. And then starting your eating window, that can be between 12 and 6. It could be 11 and 5. You just kind of try to tighten that time that you're eating throughout the day so you can fast more and eat less during the day with that. So for me, it's not hard to do, but sometimes my eating window will be like 1 to 7 because I can wait later and then I don't get home sometimes till late. So I'm eating a later dinner. So I just push back my first meal of the day back even a little bit later and throughout the day with that. If you can finish eating your last meal at 5, then you could eat your first meal at probably 11, with that too. So in that gut healing window, this is a really good protocol to do where you're going to do 2 to 3 gut healing smoothies. So they're going to be made up of unsweetened coconut milk, which is very good for your gut, or organic full fat plain yogurt, or unsweetened almond milk. And I recommend doing either the coconut milk or the full fat yogurt. Sometimes almonds can have more of an issue with the gut. Sometimes dairy can have an issue with the gut. So really my favorite is the coconut milk. I think it's your best bet for really helping to heal the gut. And then you add to your gut healing smoothie your bone broth, protein, which is very good for helping to heal the gut lining. We'll talk about that in a second. Max collagen. Collagen is amazing for healing your gut lining as well. And then you add berries, spinach, kale, water, ice, kind of whatever add-ons you want, but try to keep it to those low sugar fruits, not putting a ton of bananas or, like pineapple or those high sugar fruits in there. Try to keep them low sugar fruits. Or you can make your own homemade bone broth and drink it. So you could do either or with that. So if you're really good at making bone broth, then make your own bone broth and just drink that, throughout the day, a couple of times a day, drink your bone broth. And if you must eat something, eat raw fruits or vegetables, preferably organic. So, but if you can just get by with doing the liquid, like the smoothies and the bone broth, that's going to be even better for kind of giving that gut some rest, giving it some good liquid nutrients to help easily absorb it, and then just helping that healing process. So, but if you're starving and you're dying, like Don't grab the cookie, eat a carrot or eat, an apple. It's much better to do that than to fall way off track, right? With that, so I hear all sorts of crazy stuff. And I've done the same thing. It's like, I'm starving, I gotta eat something. It's like, why don't I eat an apple? I could have just eaten an apple, but okay. And then your gut healing supplements. So these are things to add in to really help kind of boost that gut healing even more. So we've already added in the bone broth and the collagen into your smoothies. But then Max GI, I'll talk about what that does. You would take 2 capsules daily on an empty stomach with water. You take that during your fasting period. And I'll talk about why that's important and what that accomplishes in helping to heal the gut. LGlutamine, that is a powder. It's really good at bringing those leaky gut cells back together and helping to heal that kind of gap junctions and bringing them tighter together. And then you take that with water. You can put that in your smoothie, but you do that during your fasting period. And then you do the Probiotic 50B, which like literally establishes all these good bacteria back in the gut. And that one you take with food. So I recommend like really to see best changes with this, you try to follow it to the T. And then after completing that 3 to 5 day gut renewal cleanse, follow it with either eating the Max Living Advanced Plan or Core Plan. You don't want to do that cleanse and then go back to eating, stopping at Dairy Queen and eating at McDonald's, right? That's not going to do much good. And then for the best gut healing results, repeat that cleanse every week for 1 to 2 months. So if you have health issues that you're wanting to get better, sometimes it takes stepping it up to this level where you may seem like that seems kind of crazy or extreme, but yet that's really what your body needs to break through that to that next level. So, and it's going to knock that inflammation out of your gut, out of your body. It's going to help heal, and you're really going to see awesome changes if you do that. And if you do it 1 week for 5 days and you think the next week is like, oh, I don't think I could do that for another 5 days, do it for 2 days. But just challenge yourself and try to do it as much as you can. And throughout a couple months of doing that, you're going to really see some awesome transformations with a lot of problems. And then the gut health perspective, I gave you guys that sheet, just kind of outline some of the things I talked about with nutrition, overall lifestyle things, talks a little bit about supplement regimen on the back. But Max GI, that's one of the things in the gut healing bundle we'll go through. But what is good about Max GI and why it's a good product to take throughout a gut cleanse is that it has probiotic and it has prebiotic in it. So it has the prebiotic that feeds the good bacteria, and it has a little bit of good probiotic in it as well too. And then it has digestive enzymes to help with breaking down food. But the really powerful things are that it has clove oil, oregano oil, and thyme oil. Those oils, essential oils, are very good at knocking out the bad bacterial overgrowth in your gut. Things like yeast, things like just different types of bad bacteria that's just kind of set hold in your gut, helps to kill them and get them out of your body. So that is very good to help kind of kill the bad bacterial overgrowth and to help with that process. So, but yet it leaves the friendly bacteria and it removes the unfriendly microbes that are kind of wreaking havoc on your gut health. And you take that on an empty stomach because you want it to get to your gut and work and not have a lot of food to compete with to kind of kill off that bad bacteria with that. And then the next one is the Probiotic 50B. A lot of you guys take our vitamin D that has probiotic in it. That is great. But it doesn't have a huge amount of probiotic. It has a good amount, but not like that, so when you're really kind of wanting to heal the gut, I recommend going and doing like at least 1 bottle of the Probiotic 50B. I don't think it's something you have to be on long-term all the time, but I think to do that for a month or two, especially if you do have a lot of health issues, a lot of gut issues, that's very good at kind of reestablishing all that good bacteria. And how many patients when you started taking this, you noticed your gut felt better? The Probiotic 50B. Yeah, I've heard it multiple times. It's like, man, when I took that, it really made a difference. It really helped me feel better. And a lot of those patients have been doing the vitamin D with probiotic for a long time. it's different, and it really helps to kind of bump that up a little bit more. And probiotics, they help to protect you against infection. If you're sick, you can take a probiotic instead of an antibiotic. Helps to improve gastrointestinal health. Helps with nutrient absorption. You absorb nutrients better when you have all the good probiotics because they help to break down your food. And then it helps to aid in weight loss and also brain health as well with that. And then the L-glutamine, what L-glutamine does is that it helps to heal leaky gut. It's an essential amino acid that's anti-inflammatory, and it helps to heal the gut lining, and also helps to coat the cell walls, and help reduce irritants in your bowel with that. So if you are a patient that has really bad gut issues, really nasty gut problems, this is something that you may want to also consider doing, and it's the gut renewal capsules or the powder. But it is kind of like gut healing to the next level. It's got a lot of beneficial stuff in there to really help damaged guts. So for a majority of people, doing that other one is just fine, the other ones. But if you are the person here tonight and your gut is a wreck, then I recommend doing that gut renewal capsules, because that can really help kind of heal the body even more. Cool things about collagen, max collagen that was in your smoothie you guys tried. It helps to break down proteins, and it soothes your gut lining. It also helps in healing damaged walls, and it helps to infuse them with healing amino acids. And the biggest benefit to consuming it is it helps to form connective tissue, and it kind of heals and seals the gut lining, and is very good for your joints as well too. It's very good for your hair, skin, and nails. Collagen is kind of foundational for all those things as well too. So adding that to your gut healing smoothies really just kind of amps up that process. Bone broth is another very good thing. This recipe talks about how to make your own bone broth. So pretty much traditionally how you make bone broth is you take bones from a healthy source. So grass-fed beef bones, or organic, free range, like pastured chicken carcass. And then you can add chicken feet. Is amazing to make chicken stock with if you can get access to chicken feet. And then you do like a gallon of water. You put apple cider vinegar in it to help pull the nutrients out of the bone and help to kind of get that good collagen and that good kind of bone broth in there. And then you boil that like crazy. And then you can add things like carrots, celery, salt, and then different spices in there as well. But what you do for cooking it is you put it in a stock pot and you simmer it, or you can put it in a crock pot and cook it. So chicken, they recommend if you're doing a fish broth, 8 hours you cook it for. If you're doing chicken, you cook it for 24 hours, or beef, you do it for 48 hours. To really produce the best type of bone broth, to really have the best stuff in there. And bone broth was consumed by our ancestors. This is nothing new. And they used every part of the animal. They didn't waste it. So they used the bones and the marrow and the skin and the feet and the tendons, and they cooked that and made these amazing broths and soup with them. And then they drank that. It's very nourishing for our bodies, very healing for our bodies. And that's something that we're missing in our society today. Most people don't ever make their own broth. They're buying the broth, and the broth from the store is not what you want to buy. Don't buy Swanson's chicken broth and drink it and think that's going to help heal your body. That's not good at all. You can buy some good bone broths at like Whole Foods or health food stores, but most of the things you're going to find at Kroger, that's not what those are. They're artificially like flavor enhanced water, but not really bone broth with that. So it's wonderful if you can make your own. I just find like for a lot of people, that's not exactly practical. And it's a little bit overwhelming, right? And so the other alternative is to do the bone broth and the collagen in your smoothies. And that kind of simplifies it. I still think to make your own bone broth and make your own soup broth, that's amazing for your health, and we should definitely be doing that. But to add it into your smoothies is a little bit more feasible on a daily basis. So that helps to treat the leaky gut, helps to improve food intolerances, helps reduce cellulite, which is pretty cool, and then improves your joint health and boosts your immune system. So the smoothie that Emily made today, it was a half a cup of coconut milk, a cup of ice, a scoop of collagen, a scoop of bone broth, and then peppermint oil. and she's blended those all together. And that was the kind of the gut healing peppermint smoothie that she had today. So the Advanced Gut Health Bundle, this is what I encourage you if you're really wanting to really take your health to the next level, get this and do this along with that fast. And to really help these issues. So regularly, the bone broth protein, the collagen, the max GI, the glutamine, and the probiotic, that would be $246. The bundle is 20% off tonight. And so you save $49, and then that would be $196 would be that. And then when you get the bundle, you get a free digital copy of the Gut Health Recipe Book. It's got some really neat recipes in there. It's got some good smoothie recipes. It has a bone broth recipe in there as well. And then it's all like, it has a lot of foods that implement sauerkraut, kimchi, these kind of probiotic type things as well too. So it's a digital copy. When you get the bundle, we'll either text it to you or email it to you, whatever works best for kind of viewing that recipe book for you. So, and then you guys have the order form. All of our other products tonight at a workshop, they're 15% off. If you've never been to a workshop, this is a great time to get stocked up on kind of foundational supplements. And then just to really try to kind of introduce things that will help your healing process. So just to recap, you want to work on removing the bad, right? And think in your mind, like, what are those really nasty things that I know I'm eating that I shouldn't be eating? And maybe it's stress. You know, what's the stressors I got to remove? What's the toxins I got to remove? Replacing with the good, helping to repair and heal, which will really help with these, the protocols and the healing cleanse, and then rebalancing that good bacteria with things like probiotic, fermented type foods are very good for your body as well. So I want to have a little bit of time for some questions, if you guys do have questions on anything. But if you are here as a guest tonight, I recommend one of the most important things you can do is to get your spine checked. Your spine connects to every part of your body. And these are warning signs if you have headaches, high blood pressure, numbness, dizziness, fatigue, digestive issues. All these problems are things that we help patients with every single day. And your nervous system runs all health, all healing in your body. So we do discounts for guests if you do want to get your spines checked to really see what things look like, the health of your nervous system. We do your initial checks. They're discounted down to $40, and that's for your exam and your x-rays for like a special discount for being a guest at the workshop. So if you do want to take advantage of that, just ask Stephanie or Emily. They can give you paperwork. They can schedule that special time to get your body evaluated. And then it's also a time if you are struggling with health issues, we can kind of help to find out what they are, put you on the right track, and really get your body going in the right direction for you too with that. And then connect with us on Facebook. You guys, how many of you guys have liked our Facebook page? Okay, if you haven't, go on there. We post a lot of good stuff all the time. This workshop is going to be kind of uploaded to the Facebook page. It's very good to go back and watch. If it's like information overload, you can go back and kind of watch what you kind of missed out on. And then it's also good to share with friends, with family members that you know have gut issues or other problems. Chances are they know somebody that does, or they do themselves. So sharing this to friends and family is also going to be great for them to kind of learn some of this great stuff that you guys learned tonight as well too. So, and then if you are watching this online, if you share and tag this video with your Facebook friends, you can take advantage of the discounts. Then you can message us and messenger us, and then we can, give you the discounts for the products if you're wanting to get started with those good things as well too. And very good. I'm going to end this broadcast. Thank you for watching.